It's distributed by USA Toys. Taking the boat out of the packaging, and I want to show you it right here. This is a really super boat. I like this a lot. Comes with a 2.4 gigahertz transmitter. Also comes with a USB charger. And it comes with two 3.7 volt, 18650, 1500 amp, or 1500 milliamp hour lithium ion batteries. So you get two of these. Each one has two 18650 lithium ion batteries in it. You do need to provide 4 AA batteries for the transmitter. Let me go into the boat some more. Let's move the batteries aside. Move the transmitter aside. This is just a standard trigger transmitter. When you pull it like that, you give it the throttle. When you go forward, you go reverse. The neat thing about this boat is it has a capsize recovery feature. So if you go real quick forward and then back, real quick forward and then back, the boat will actually flip itself over. This is by far the best feature I've seen on a boat, because what it means is you can have the boat out 50 feet, it can flip over in water, and then very easily it can right itself. For that feature alone, I think this boat is worth getting, because the capsize recovery feature will save you the boat. Because a lot of times you're out there, and if it flips, you have to go out and get to the boat, which means you need to have access to a boat or be able to swim out and get it. So you really need to be careful too. While we're talking about capsizing a boat, you need to be careful where you use this boat. I suggest that you have a backup plan just in case the capsize feature won't work. Also, sometimes when I tested this out, I noticed that some weeds and stuff got around the prop. And what those weeds will do is it makes it go really slow. So I would basically, if I could give you one piece of advice, in addition to the fact that this has a capsize recovery feature that worked very nicely, I want to tell you to make sure that you run the boat wherever you could get to a boat and go out and get it, or you could go out and swim and get it. Otherwise, if you're running it to somewhere where you can't go out and get it, and it flips and it won't flip back, or like when I was running this, it hit a bunch of weeds, you're stuck and you're going to be losing your boat. So let me go into the boat. UDI RC provides a nice little boat mount, so you can store your boat when you're not using it. Let's take off the top here real quick. Just want to show you the insides of the boat. This just pops off. Inside the boat, you see we have a servo. This is a full swing servo, which was really nice, because what that means is when you turn this a little to the right, it turns a little to the right. When you turn it full right, it turns full right. When you turn it a little left, it turns a little left, and all the way left, it goes left. So it's a proportional based turning, and you get that with the servo. Right here is where the battery pack snaps in. Again, you can see the battery pack just snaps right in there. I can't get it right now. Boom. It just sits right in there, and then you connect it right there. And the other thing is, here's the motor. Now it's got a little inlet on the bottom, which is right here, and you can see the water will come in there and it will shoot through this tube, and it'll go around and see how it's wrapped around the motor, and then it'll shoot out the side. What this does is it will cool the motor as you run it. One thing I did not like about it is that up here the transmitter and receive button is up here, as well as the electronic speed controller. Everything's up here, but if this part gets damaged or it needs to be replaced, you can't really get to it without having to really take this boat apart. You could, I do see some screws here on the bottom. There's 5 screws, so you could actually take the top off to access this part. So again, that's not the end of the world. Again, you can see the motor, everything's screwed in, so if you need to replace a part, you can contact UDI RC for spare parts and put in a new motor. One of the things I did like about this too is they give you extra batteries, because when you're on the water, you blow through one of these. It's tough, because if you only had one, you'd be done, but because you got 2, you get double the life. So they really thought about having, maximum fun with this. Do want to mention a couple other things. Here we have some stabilizers on the back. We got a nice big rudder. This boat cuts really sharp. At the end of the video, I'll show some footage of me running it on the lake, actually out on the Potomac, and you can see how fast this boat really goes and how fast it really cuts. just wanted to show you real quick. One of the things, I did have some issues with a little bit of water getting in here. And I think that's probably because I didn't have the top arm properly, so I want to make sure everyone sees this real quick. See how there's these two little V ridges right in here? You want to make sure you really push and press and get that. You want to turn this, that's what locks it down, but there, do you see how it snapped twice? I didn't do that the first time, and I got a little bit of water in. And so you don't want water getting in or else it's going to ruin your boat. So just be careful about that. But this thing, it just, be careful with flipping it, because I think that's where the water got in from, because I didn't snap that down all the way. Just because you can capsize and it's got a capsize function doesn't mean you should do it. Again, you got to be careful because it's got this rudder. This rudder goes down pretty far. So if there's seaweed or anything where you're running it, again, this is just a plastic rudder. It could break off. So you got to be careful. This boat's not meant for abuse. It's meant for someone who is going to take care of it and is going to enjoy it, and not just run it through the weeds constantly or up against a rock. I mean, because it's plastic. It goes fast. It goes about 15 miles an hour. If this thing hits a rock, it's toast. So just be careful with that. Transmitter, very basic. One of the things I did like about the transmitter, it beeps if the boat goes too far away, which is a really helpful feature. So it lets you know, actually it lets you know if it gets a weakened signal, such that if the boat does go further, you get a warning saying, oh wait, it's too far out. Again, the range, it claims a range of 150 meters, which is about 450 plus feet. So it's really far out range. It is 2.4 gigahertz, which is a hobby grade range. And so you're not gonna have any issues with this going really far unless you really push the limits of how far you want to take it out. But it will let you know, when it's getting a weak signal. The other thing I like about this too is it will start beeping when the battery is getting low. So that way your boat's not stuck on the water with a dead battery. And with lithium-ion batteries, one of the things you want to know about, you don't want to completely drain this down. You want to drain it down to about 5 to 10%, then recharge it. And you don't want to recharge it immediately. You want to let it cool off. So don't drain it all the way down so the propeller won't even spin, because that'll damage your battery. It did have one more thing on the remote. Just want to flash back to this. It's got a throttle trim, high and low. So what that means is you can, instead of going all full throttle, you can actually trim it down. So it goes to, maybe this goes to 50% or 75%. So what it does is the trim on the throttle adjusts the sensitivity of the trigger stick. It also has steering trims for right and left. So you'll notice when you give it throttle, the boat veers to the right. You want to adjust the throttle trim. It is a digital trim, so it's very easy to just hit these buttons. I didn't hit the throttle trim. I didn't need that. It's not much movement. It's go or stop. And but I did use the steering trims left and right. So this is the UDI RC Power Tempo Boat. And I hope you enjoyed this.
Thank you.